first 4 quarter-finals. This is how we stand. Our map of Europe. Last night the advantage for Liverpool and for Spurs. Advantage Barcelona this evening, but in our game all square as it heads to Turin. Plenty for us to get into then, Jermaine. First of all, it was a really good match, and you know if Ronaldo gets a big chance, it's likely he's going to take it.
Yeah, and he hadn't seen much of the ball at this point, but as you said, he's just too clinical, to like take your eye off him. And even, with De Ligt and this very talented back four that they've got in Ajax, it was a perfect ball and a perfect run, and they just didn't track him, and it was a fantastic finish in the end. And
just before half-time as well, Chris.
Yeah, and there was a bit of a hammer blow for Ajax, who had been the better team in the first half, but I mean, we know Ronaldo is so capable. This isn't an easy chance. He still has to generate all the power, but you just knew he was going to score in that situation. Right on the money with the ball, Cancelo is, and I think Ajax will be disappointed that he can drift in that easily. You can say yes, he should have been picked up, but he's still got a lot to do. It's a textbook header back across the keeper into the far corner. And Juventus going at the break, sort of pretty undeserved lead, really.
It's just the one man, though, you don't want to see pop up in the box with that much room.
He had too much space, obviously. I think, I personally think the two midfielders, De Jong was definitely one of them.
Schöne.
Yeah, and Schöne, sorry, should have tracked his run. He was right in front of them, and they should have had an influence on him, blocked that run or done whatever just to kind of stop that moment happening.
But then into the second half, just 30 seconds after kick-off. Yeah. What a brilliant response.
Well, absolutely. And the question was, could they respond? But we know that we knew they, could respond. They are fearless, this young Ajax team, full of confidence. You have to say it's a horrific mistake from Cancelo, the fullback, because it's one long ball and I don't know, he just switched off. But then you have to credit Neres for pinching the ball off him. What I liked about this finish, he doesn't break stride. That allows Chesney, well, it doesn't allow him to get anywhere near it. It's a wonderful finish. But no, I mean, it was the perfect start, the perfect response, and you wondered whether this team could respond, and boy, they did.
It was always going to take something like this, something special, I felt, for Ajax. They had plenty of chances, but it was long-range efforts, and obviously Neres popped up with the goods, and it was a matter of can they go on and can they do more, or was that back four of Juve going to be able to kind of stand strong? And they did.
We talked about so many of their young players, De Ligt and De Jong, of course, but he caught the eye as well, Neres, who's been linked with Liverpool, as you know.
Yeah, more so in the second half, I thought. He was busy and he kind of makes good runs in that first half, but I felt like he came to life a lot more. The ball was a lot more down the left-hand side, whereas it was down the right-hand side more in the first half. He's shown talent, he's got ability, and you can see why teams are looking at him.
Of course, and actually teams are going to be looking at all of these Ajax players, because the feeling is this squad's going to be broken apart in the summer.
Yeah, and you can see why, these players are sought after. We know De Jong's off to Barcelona. What a performance he had. He really pulled the strings in midfield. You think Van der Beek as well, two youngsters dictating the midfield against the likes of, Pjanic in there, and Bentancur. So, I mean, it was such a mature display from them. De Ligt at the back, 19 years old. I mean, how good's he going to be?
He's all right, isn't he?
How good's he going to be when he's 23? Yeah. I mean, really powerful performance, dominant. They have so much composure, this team, and that's why you cannot rule out them nicking a result in Turin.
You were talking about, what, £100 million for De Ligt?
Well, Chris mentioned that, actually, but I agree with him. I do agree with him.
It
would, yeah.
I'll take that back. It was all down to Chris.
No, it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. I think, as Chris said, he's 19 years old. He's a captain of Ajax in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, absolutely bossing it. And yeah, I mean, I'm always of the type that I'd love to see him kind of stay at Ajax maybe one more year and really go and flourish, rather than go to somewhere and maybe have to sit on the bench. I don't think
feels unlikely now, though, doesn't it, that he's going to stay?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, there is that possibility of him being bought and staying, a bit like De Jong has done, which I think I would like to see, because it's going to be a shame to see such a great team kind of dismantled the way it seems like it may be.
To some of the Ajax chances then, they'll feel they should have at least been ahead in the game, but even into the second half as we work our way through this, good opportunities throughout the 90.
Yeah, and I mean, they had a few long-range efforts early on. Ziyech was, really influential, but they kept probing and probing, and some of their build-up play was really first class. But, these Ajax players play for Ajax because they have such good awareness, 1 and 2 touch in and around the box. They didn't create anything too clear-cut, as Van der Beek has the big chance just before half-time. But some of the, link-up play, build-up play, they know the next pass. It was absolutely wonderful, Jermaine.
They are all very confident on the ball, and they create good chances. If you look at the overloads that they create as well down each side, it's very difficult to defend against. This was the best chance of the game for Van der Beek, because whether he knows it or not, I think because of the positioning of everything, that window there that he just needs to hit, it's big, it's a huge window. Just hit the target, that hits the back of the net. I suppose at times, all I felt was they rushed things a little bit, especially in the second half. Allow your team to get it, up the field, get themselves into the box. Tagliafico was the guilty party on this occasion. And then there was a couple of times, Chris, especially in the second half, where we were saying, come on, someone, gamble, get yourself in the box.
An out-and-out centre forward could make the difference perhaps for this team. Tadic plays through there.
But, Tadic is, he's played centre forward. He's scored 30 goals this season, so this may sound ridiculous, but, I think they did miss, an absolute number 9, somebody who can anticipate crosses, because Juventus defended very deep. Their back four were immovable in that respect. So therefore you need, a centre forward who's going to, be really proactive and get on the end of things. But this was the chance. Camp, brilliant first shift. What a chance. His first game in European football. He'll be dreaming about that tonight. Maybe not in a good way. What an impact he could have had.
Tagliafico had an effort there, but they'll miss him in the second leg. He got booked. That's a blow. Mazraoui is coming back, the right back from suspension, but still.
Which is a huge plus, but they'll miss him. He seems to have a huge influence on this team, bigger than I thought he would. And also, he's a very experienced figure. Been to major tournaments, obviously, for Argentina, so they're going to miss him. It was a tough one. And it was a weird one as well. It almost felt like the referee allowed the play to continue, but then booked him kind of afterwards. It was a strange one, but it was the right decision, unfortunately.
Douglas Costa, back from injury tonight for Juventus, off the bench. Half an hour cameo, did some good things. Yeah, and, you look at Juventus's bench and you think, blimey, they could bring Costa on, Dybala on, and Mandzukic didn't have much of an impact. But we know what Costa's all about, pace and drive can beat players. This was a sensational effort. Brings good legs to the team. He's unlucky. It's just going away, from the goalkeeper. But no, he brought real energy and drive to that Juventus team, and they're such a threat on the break when they have that. And Ajax were taking the game to them, and I know, Jermaine, you like this one.
Oh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I wasn't fussed about him getting on the end of it. You talk about, Camp having a little dream about, his chance. Tagliafico will be having nightmares about that 100%. He won't have to see him next game, of course.
Being a show pony, though, Daryl, you've got to get that on the end of that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's all about the end result, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But I tell you what, a fit Costa can make a big difference, and if you think that Juve get a few players who could be back, including Chiellini, that could make the difference in the second leg. 100%.
Chiellini back will allow them to adapt their system, to be a lot more rigid if they have to. I actually thought at the back, Rugani played very well today, actually. But the experience of Chiellini with Bonucci is obvious, and Costa, he is, we see what he can do on the counter-attack. It's a dangerous opposition, for Ajax.
I think the danger is, for Ajax, I didn't think Juventus played with great intensity tonight. If they turn up as they did against Atletico Madrid, then, it'll be a totally different test for Ajax. But
they didn't in the first leg against Atletico, did they?
No, absolutely. So but they blew them away in the second leg. But Ajax are fearless. They've got nothing to lose. These are a young team who have so much confidence. So, it's very
Frenkie
much
de
game
Jong
on.
is also fearless, isn't he? What did you make of his performance tonight?
He is an unbelievable footballer. When I see the ball at his feet, there is no panicking. He knows exactly what he wants to do with the ball at all times.
Doesn't lose it much.
Well, he didn't lose this one, and this is the other side that, you know, not a lot of people would give him credit for, but, you know, that tracking back, the timing of the tackle was absolutely spot on. But he dominated that midfield. In a talented midfield against Pjanic, Matuidi and Bentancur, he's shone. He's the one that stood out and was the one that was always like, give me the ball, I'm going to take control, I'm going to make things happen. To the point where when he had the ball at times, no one would even go near him. They'd give him like 5-10 yards of space because they thought it can cause problems, and that is what happens when you get that reputation, and he's already got it.
I know the Barcelona fans wouldn't have been watching tonight because they'd have been watching the game in Manchester. If they get a chance to watch it back, though, they'll what he did.
Look, the truth is if Barcelona come calling, you know, you have to be a player. But even just looking at his face, he looks clever for a footballer. He looks intelligent. That's unusual.
Juve, of course, they've got a big game at the weekend, a point, and they win their 8th consecutive title.
Yeah.
But they can rest players because they're 20 points clear. Yeah. It's different for Ajax, who are in a real battle with PSV at the top of the league.
Can go either way, that really can. You know, losing that intensity of kind of it mattering every single week can go against you to an extent. So if they rest too many and go into that mentality that we've won it, you never know what Juve may turn up. I think they're going to be at it, and I think I think they'll get the job done.
Ajax have got to go for every game, don't they, right now?
Yeah, but
run for a treble.
Yeah, but you know, the truth is they've done it before this season. You know, they've shocked Europe, beating Real Madrid, so they're not going to fear Juventus in any way, shape or form. They've only just gone back to the top of the league domestically, so I mean, you know, there's still a lot to play for, but you can't rule them out of anything.
And can I just say, well done. We've gone the whole night. He's not mentioned he scored against Ajax and Juventus, which I think it's noble, but I've chucked it in for you now.
I heard it was better than Ronaldo.
Oh, he's gone there. But guys, thank you very much. Really enjoyed your company all night tonight. Don't forget, over on BT Sport 2 in a few minutes' time, it's the Champions League highlight show with Matt Smith. Enjoy that. We'll see you next week.